Morning light cut through the tall windows of courtroom 4B, catching the dust in the air and the tension clinging to every bench. Anna Vance stood alone at the defense table, her suit slightly loose on her frame, her pulse steadying as she faced the man who had dictated her life for 15 years. Across the aisle, Richard Sterling, flawless suit, flawless arrogance, let out a quiet laugh that echoed louder than any shout. "Your Honor," Anna said, her voice low but clear, "I am dismissing counsel." Judge Harrison Miller looked up sharply, but Richard leaned forward first, eyes glinting. "Anna," he whispered just loud enough, "don't embarrass yourself. You're out of your depth." For the first time, she didn't look away. "No," she murmured, letting the words land between them. "You are." A sudden stillness swept the room. And when Anna reached into her folder and set a sealed document on the bench, Richard's smirk flickered. Just for a second, but enough for everyone to feel the shift. Something wasn't adding up. Something was coming. And the unspoken question tightened the air like a wire. What happens next? If this opening pulls you in, hit like and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales for more gripping real-life stories. The moment Judge Harrison Miller granted Anna Vance permission to proceed, the courtroom shifted in a way no one could quite explain. The air felt denser, as if the room itself was waiting. Anna didn't approach the podium immediately. She let the silence breathe, let Richard Sterling believe, just for a second longer, that he understood the game. Then she stepped forward, shoulders squared, voice steady as she began unspooling a truth he never saw coming. 15 years ago, she said, I married a man who wanted a mirror, not a partner. Richard scoffed, loud enough to interrupt. Your Honor, is this therapy or testimony? Judge Miller didn't even blink. Sit down, Mr. Sterling. She hasn't wasted anyone's time yet. The gallery murmured. Anna kept her gaze pointed straight ahead, but she felt Richard's irritation like heat on her skin. She continued. He told me I wasn't built for boardrooms. He told me I was fragile. But fragility, she said, eyes narrow, doesn't break, it bends. And sometimes it sharpens. She laid out her first piece of evidence with meticulous precision. Bank transfers that should not have existed, invoices tied to non-existent vendors, and strange inconsistencies embedded in Richard's own digital footprint. What caught everyone off guard wasn't the data itself, but how effortlessly she explained each piece, as though she had been preparing for this exact moment for years. Richard's attorney, a man known for shredding witnesses with nothing but tone, rose to his feet. Objection. She's editorializing. No, Anna cut in. I'm contextualizing. There's a difference. And you'll want to hear this part. For a heartbeat, even the judge looked startled by her calm boldness. She slid another document forward. This isn't theoretical. This was signed by the plaintiff. Filed by the plaintiff. Executed by the plaintiff. Richard leaned forward, confusion flickering across his face, followed quickly by dread as he recognized the document. A quiet gasp traveled through the gallery. You tricked me, he hissed under his breath. Anna met his stare without fear. You underestimated me. That's not the same thing. Wave after wave of evidence followed, each more damning than the last. She showed that Richard had siphoned millions into offshore accounts he believed were invisible. She revealed that he had used company funds to support a lifestyle he hid from her, from shareholders, from the world. The audience watched as the image of Richard Sterling, the polished philanthropist, crumbled like wet plaster. And still, Anna wasn't finished. She called his CFO to the stand. A man who seemed steady when he sat down, but with every question Anna asked, another crack appeared in his composure. How many documents did you sign blindly, Mr. Hargrove? That's not. I didn't. Answer. When he hesitated, she opened a folder, thin but heavy with consequence. This is your signature on a shell company invoice. And this. All leading to accounts tied directly to Mr. Sterling. The CFO's face drained as he realized there was no path out that didn't implicate him. The pressure was unbearable. He told me to do it, he burst out. He said no one would look. He said his wife couldn't tell a balance sheet from a grocery list. That will be enough, Judge Miller snapped, but the damage was permanent. Richard slammed his palm against the table. You little coward. Watch your tone, Mr. Sterling. The bailiff stepped closer. The air tightened. Every person in that room could feel the tide turning. Anna didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. You built an empire on arrogance, she said quietly. And you assumed everyone around you existed to protect it. But arrogance is a poor shield, Richard. It's loud. Echoes. It leaves trails. The emotional wave swelled. Tension, disbelief, and something rare in courtrooms. Justice forming in real time. Next, she introduced recordings. Small moments Richard had forgotten, careless voicemails, offhand comments, emails written late at night when he assumed Anna was asleep. Each one painted him not merely as corrupt, but as cruel. The gallery shifted from curious to horrified. And then the moment that changed everything arrived. Anna placed one final envelope on the judge's bench. Inside it was a detailed breakdown of Richard's forgotten slush funds, with every transfer mirrored into a court-secured escrow account. You stole from me, Richard said, voice shaking. No, Anna replied softly. I recovered what was mine. When the judge examined the records, he let out a slow breath, bracing himself against the bench. Mr. Sterling, he said, this is catastrophic. The courtroom erupted. Whispers, gasps, the rustling of people realizing they were watching the downfall of a titan. Richard surged to his feet. This is a setup. She hacked me, she manipulated, she. Two federal agents stepped through the double doors at the back of the room, badges visible. Richard Sterling, one said, you are under arrest for financial fraud, falsification of corporate records, and tax evasion. The color drained from his face. Pure silence swallowed the courtroom. No, he whispered. No, this is my company. My city. My. It was, Anna said. As they snapped handcuffs over his wrists, Richard looked at her with desperate disbelief, like a man watching his kingdom dissolve into dust. You ruined me, he said. She held his gaze. You ruined yourself. I just stopped pretending not to see it. They walked him out through a sea of cameras, reporters, and stunned spectators. For the first time in 15 years, Anna felt the weight on her chest lift, not replaced by triumph, but by clarity. But the story didn't stop at Richard's downfall. The board of Sterling Enterprises tried to distance themselves. Some whispered that Anna had overstepped. Others argued that she had saved the company. A few attempted to corner her privately, pushing her to release certain documents or bury others. She refused every one of them. And word spread, quietly at first, that Constance Sterling, the family matriarch, wanted to speak with her. It was a meeting thick with old wealth, sharp intelligence, and a lifetime of unspoken power. Constance studied Anna like a chess grandmaster observing the only opponent worth their time. You dismantled him, Constance said calmly. Piece by piece. I told the truth, Anna replied. Truth, Constance murmured, is the sharpest blade when wielded by the right hands. She offered Anna something no one expected. Leadership. Control. The reins of the Sterling Trust. A legacy built long before Richard ever breathed life into a business plan. But Anna didn't want a throne. She wanted freedom. She wanted peace. And yet, as she walked through the silent halls of the estate, she realized that taking power wasn't the same as becoming Richard. In the right hands, power protected. Power built. Power healed. So she took it. Not out of greed but out of necessity. Out of promise. Out of the knowledge that the world was full of men like Richard, and her children deserved a mother who could shield them from every single one of them. By the time she returned to Chicago, reporters were waiting, the city buzzing with the fallout. Richard's arrest had triggered investigations across several departments. His associates were scrambling. His attorney was desperately trying to reshape his public image. Nothing worked. The final blow landed when Richard's own CFO testified again, this time to federal agents, confirming every detail Anna had brought to light and offering even more incriminating information. Richard's empire collapsed. And with every headline, every court document, every indictment, the world saw the truth. The man who had mocked his wife in court had been undone not by force, but by precision. And the woman he tried to silence became the voice that exposed him. Still, even as justice prevailed, Anna felt the tension of unfinished business. There were larger shadows behind Richard's corruption. People who believed they were untouchable. People who had enabled him. She wasn't afraid of shadows anymore. Because she had learned something Richard never understood. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is preparation. And she was done being silent. Outside the courthouse, a black sedan approached from the curb, a man watching her through tinted glass before the vehicle pulled away. Another ripple of danger. Another chapter waiting. But that belonged to what came next. For now, one truth stood firm, solid as the steps beneath her feet. Richard Sterling, once untouchable, would spend the next decades exactly where he belonged, behind bars, stripped of every illusion of power he ever had. And Anna was finally free. When the courthouse doors finally closed behind her, Anna didn't feel triumphant. She felt steady, like someone who had learned to walk again after years of moving on broken ground. The city around her buzzed with the aftermath of Richard's downfall, yet she moved through it with a quiet clarity that hadn't existed before. She had spent years shrinking herself to survive. Now, every step carried the shape of someone who refused to disappear ever again. Later that evening, she stood by the window of her mother's home, watching lights flicker across the skyline. Chicago hadn't changed, but she had. Not because she won a case or unmasked corruption. Those were consequences. What mattered was the moment she realized she no longer needed permission to take up space in her own life. Her phone vibrated with messages she wasn't ready to read. Lawyers, reporters, board members. She silenced it and let the room settle around her. For the first time in years, the quiet wasn't something she feared. It was something she earned. Outside, a soft breeze rustled the trees, carrying the faint echo of a world she was finally strong enough to face on her own terms. And that strength, born from truth, was the one thing no one could seize from her. If this story moved you, please like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and help Canada's Heartfelt Tales grow by subscribing. Your support keeps these stories alive.